Hey there, welcome back to another episode of the Attract and Stand Out podcast. I'm your host, Darlene Hawley. Around here, we're all about helping heart-centered entrepreneurs and executive leaders speak up and stand out so they're able to share their message with confidence and clarity. Because when you communicate clearly, you connect deeper, lead stronger, and build a business that truly thrives. Whether I'm coaching one-on-one or leading interactive workshops, I love giving women the tools to engage their people, build trust, and make a real impact. Curious about working together? Head over to darlenehawley.com/work with me to learn more. All right, let's dive into another episode. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Attract and Stand Out podcast. I'm your host, Darlene Hawley, and I am so thrilled you're here today. Thank you for joining us because I have Carolyn Bennett-Sullivan. She is an inspiring keynote speaker, transformational catalyst, and change strategist, as well as a TEDx speaker, an author, and a consultant. And she leverages her corporate sales and small business expertise to help organizations create strategies for navigating business disruptions through mindset mastery. Welcome to the show, Carolyn.
Thank you so much, Darlene. I'm delighted to be here.
I am so excited to have you here. And I love that you help people disrupt the industry. That's something that I talk about quite a bit. Like, how do we disrupt what's going on in the marketplace? How do we find those gaps and really, pull it, attract people into us, allow us to really stand out and do the things that we love to do so we can make an impact and have that big, huge ripple effect in the world. So I'm excited to chat with you today. Before we dive too far in, though, I want to hear a little bit about you. Can you share with us your background, how you got into this work?
Sure, absolutely. Um, this work really started for me many years ago, kind of unknowingly, when I spent over a decade in pharma sales. And during that time, I went through two mergers and acquisitions, and neither one handled particularly well, in my opinion. And from that, after I left pharma, I became an entrepreneur and I failed miserably.
Hmm.
And from there, I got a divorce. And so I found myself in 2010 uh, really at a low point in my life. My self-esteem was really at an all-time low. I was really doubting myself, doubting my skills and abilities and who I was, and really having to just start over, and reinvent myself. And through that process, what I discovered is how much fear had been driving my life and fear-based thinking. So I started doing work on that and discovering, what is it in our brains that cause us to hold on to these fear-based thoughts and beliefs and actions, and why do we constantly sabotage ourselves? And that involved it to me doing coaching, and then I wrote my book, and then I started gaining more interest in how does this impact the working world.
Hmm.
Where is fear causing us to sabotage ourselves? What happens when we're going through transition at work, which is happening more and more and more and more, major disruptions within the workplace, and what keeps us in a place of resistance. And so my work has evolved from me going through my own journey and process to understanding what was holding me back, and where I get stuck, to, well, what happens in a workplace environment when there are mergers and acquisitions, or now with AI? AI is transforming the work world so much, and there is a lot of fear. Employees are fearing, am I going to be obsolete? Is my job going to be obsolete? Is my role going to be obsolete? And how is it communicated by the employer? Does the employer have a strategy to help their employees navigate through these um, peaks and valleys?
Yeah.
tsunamis, you know?
The giant tidal waves that come crashing down on us.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, so that's really what my work has evolved into, because it's that passion for helping people understand no matter what the chaos is going on around you, you still have control over your thoughts.
Yes.
And so, what tools and strategies can you implement? And what kind of processes and strategies can leaders implement to help their employees? One of the things I read this year from Deloitte's Human Capital Report is there's an ever increasing desire from employees to feel psychological safety at work.
Yes.
You know, that's really important. If you don't feel psychologically safe at work, that just has a domino effect, a negative domino effect in every area, not only of your work life, in your personal life as well. So that's the type of work that I really love doing from the leadership side as well as from the employee side, helping them really navigate. And we have so much disruption happening right now. I mean, we were just talking about it, how like chaotic and crazy the world seems right now. Um, and so the more that you can have dominion over your mental capacity,
Mhm.
the easier you're going to be able to navigate through these disruptions.
Yeah, I love that because I see it with my clients as well, especially when we dive into what I call like the inner voice, the inner critic
Mhm.
is telling us sometimes that we're not good enough. Who am I to be here in the space? Am I worthy enough? Can I, somebody else is already doing this thing. Like, who am I to walk in and, get onto the stage or lead this training or whatever the thing is that you're doing? Like, we have that self-doubt that can come in. What are some tips and tricks that you really think are really supporting the leaders in today's, especially in today's climate, when there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of volatility, we're not really sure which direction we're going sometimes. Like, what are some
Right,
one or two tips or tricks that you like to use with your clients to really pull them back in when they're kind of having that
right.
body experience?
You know, when you start having just that visceral sense of uncertainty, doubt, even overwhelm, just like you said, pulling yourself back in, getting yourself centered. I mean, it may sound really simple, but just stopping and taking deep breaths
Yeah.
to just kind of center yourself, and then asking yourself, whatever that thought is that's coming up for you, is this true? Is this really true? Now, our logical mind's going to want to say, yeah, it's true. You know, but you have to say, is this really true? And what is causing me to have this thought in terms of from your belief system?
Yeah.
So, you know, really questioning that logical mind to come back to, wait a second, this is just a thought. It doesn't need to control me. And I get to choose, is this thought supporting me right now?
Mm.
And if it's not supporting me, then I need to change my thought.
Yeah.
What can I choose to think instead that supports me and provides me with evidence of what, you know, I'm looking to do? So for example, if you have someone who has a fear of speaking and they're basically saying, who am I to get on the stage and speak? I don't, I'm not good enough to do that. Well, who told you that? And so you got to question that and then reframe it and say, well, who am I not to? I have a story to share. I have experience to share that can help someone else. So really, it's my duty.
Mm. Yeah. That, um, like disrupting that thought process. I think I always
Mhm.
tell my clients, I'm like, where's the evidence? Like, show me the evidence that you're not good enough to do this thing or that you can't,
Right,
with the example of like getting up on stage. Like, where's the evidence that you can't do this? And usually there's not any, right? It's a
right.
massive story that we've started telling ourselves. So we've made up, and we all can do this. I can, I work, I've been working on this my whole life, which is why I love to teach this type of work with my clients, even because I'm my best student, right? Like it's something that I've been really passionate and I've had to learn for myself because I've had plenty of moments where I didn't feel like I could speak up. It didn't feel safe in those moments. And so I've done the work and we still do the work. Whereas like there was a
Yeah,
situation a couple weeks ago where I was making up this whole like something had happened and I was making up this whole entire story in my head about what I thought was going to happen and what, it was keeping me up at night and I was struggling with it and I was just kind of, gnawing at me. And I finally went and had the conversation. Like I practiced out loud what I was going to say and how I was going to say it. And I went and had the conversation. And what I thought versus what actually transpired and happened and what the other person that was involved in the story with me, what they were feeling and thinking that moment were completely separated. And so I think
right.
oftentimes like we can make up so many great things. Our minds are mysterious little labs, right? They're making
They
up so
are.
many different
Hmm.
pieces.
Right. And we're wired to think negatively.
Yeah.
So,
Why is that? Why is that, Carolyn?
well, I think our brains are still, compared to how we've evolved technologically and as a society, our brains are still pretty archaic.
Yes.
So our brain goes into fight or flight, you know, very quickly. It's just how it's wired. So I think when we have a disruption or even something novel, our brain is wired to question it and automatically kind of bring up that red flag, like, is this dangerous for me? And so I think that that is why we automatically go to that negative thought process. Oh, they must not like me. They must not think I'm good enough. Instead of saying, maybe I'm not understanding what they're actually trying to communicate.
Yeah. I love that reframe of like what am I not understanding? So we can really take that moment to self-reflect. And whether it's for me, it's usually journaling. That's I either need to
Mhm.
write out my thoughts in that moment and kind of just get it out of my head. Or my new favorite has been walking and talking with like an audio to like verbally processing what I'm
Right.
thinking or feeling in that moment. And usually just that process alone I can take back control in that moment and I can feel like, okay, now I know how to move forward because I've been able to verbally or, write it out in those moments.
Absolutely, because you're getting it out of your body,
Yeah.
and there you can look. So I have a 7-step process that I created called Free Your Fear. And then the kind of the subtitle to it is Quickly Shift Your Shiz. And, that process is meant to help you really, what is it that's stressing me out? What is it about it? Because so much of those negative emotions that come up is from a belief that we developed in early life. We may not even remember the situation of when or where we developed the belief, but it's an old belief that we've
Yeah.
been carrying around, like garbage for decades.
Yeah.
And
Our black
so to
trash
help,
bag.
right, right. And so it's meant to help you recognize where's this coming from, and then how do I pivot it? How do I shift this? And then the final part of it is, well, what solutions are possible in this situation? And so that writing or talking, like I love that idea of just maybe putting some earbuds in and taking a walk and, you know, talking it out. And it's just getting it out of your body so that you're not holding it in.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you mentioned the earbuds because I do usually if I'm doing this while I'm on a walk with my dog, I usually will put an earbud in so I look like I'm talking to somebody, even though I'm talking to myself, but then I don't look quite so. wild while I'm on my walk.
Right? People were like, "Ah, crazy lady,
Who's she
she's talking
talking
to us."
to? I'm curious when you see this show up with the leaders that you're working with, what are some things that you're really seeing like in organizations or with leaders in the workplace that you can really narrow in on and help support them? Because I think a lot of times we don't naturally think like, oh, I need to do the inner work. I need to, journal. I need to go for the walk and talk it out. Like those are not,
Right.
unless you're deep in the work, like probably the two of us and maybe some of our audience, but not everybody thinks to go to those places first. Like, what do you do when you have a team of people who are really struggling in this area? Like, how do you bring them together to help them see each other in a new light?
So there's a couple of ways I do that. I mean, I can initially do a workshop to bring some of these ideas, into their awareness. I also like to do coaching cohorts so that they have an opportunity where they have a safe space to share and really start developing some of these tools and strategies, for themselves and then within the organization too, in terms of addressing some of these issues. So whether it could be anything from, imposter syndrome, which I think occurs a lot for particularly women that are rising in organizations, to something like we have a major disruption happening within the organization and there's a lot of resistance.
Yeah.
We know this change needs to be implemented, but we're getting resistance. So then it's working with team members to help them identify what is the resistance, where is it coming from, and really to teach leadership to effectively communicate why that change needs to occur. Because sometimes I think in organizations it doesn't, it's just here's the new directive. This is what it's going to be. Suck it up and do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so you lose you lose employees when you don't give them the why behind it.
Yes.
Here's the reason why we have to implement this. Here's the reason why we need to make these changes. You're going to get more buy-in from your employees when you're honest and transparent with them and say, okay, how can we work together to make this a positive experience? Even if it's something really overwhelming or viewed negatively, like layoffs,
Yeah.
how can we change the communication and how we're handling it so that the employees feel more engaged and involved?
Yeah. I love that you brought that piece in of going deeper with the why. It makes me even think of like I'm a mom of four kids, and I can't just tell my kids like this is the way like we're changing something up or we're shifting or whatever that's going on without giving some why behind it to really get their buy-in and get them on board. And it's the same thing when we're working with organizational leaders or even
Mhm.
share, or if you're an entrepreneur or a founder and you're sharing your message in the world and really getting people to buy into the work that you're doing and really understanding how you can help and support them. Like you have to tell them why. And I think we forget that sometimes. A lot of the leaders that I work with, they just, there's a change that comes down the pipeline. They go automatically into reactive mode and trying to get the
Right.
change going. And they overstep that or they miss that piece a lot of times. And it cause so much dysfunction within the team and people don't understand why they're doing it. So I'm glad that you brought that up. I think it's something that's just so powerful and even like taking a couple layers back, like, why is it important? Well, why is that important? Like, whatever,
Yeah, doing
and
the
pulling it
deep
back.
dive down is to ultimately, because employees are your greatest asset.
Yes.
And having been, in corporate and not always feeling that way,
Yeah.
um, it it's especially now with how the workforce is changing. I got an email this week that talks about how, the silver tsunami and how the boomers are retiring and now some of the Gen X's are retiring. And we're going to have a big employment gap. We're not going to have enough employees. So it's really, it's a time of great disruption, but it's also really important that employers start understanding that the way that things have been done for 40 years aren't going to work today.
Yeah.
And and you need to change. Your leadership is going to change because of, millennials now coming into leadership roles and then your Gen Zs. They have a different mindset.
Yeah.
And so you've got to learn how to communicate and value. And if your employees don't feel valued and engaged, what kind of productivity are you going to get?
Nothing good.
Nothing good, and,
Yeah.
and how's that going to affect your bottom line?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're s- you're selling at every given point as a founder of your business or a leader inside of an organization. You're selling something on your team, whether you're selling to prospects. Like we're getting buy-in from all these different places, and it's just about showing up and helping and making sure that we give all the resources, all the tools, we see seen,
Mhm.
we feel heard. We're creating spaces where our team is able to share what they're feeling, give ideas, give input. It's not, a dictatorship where they're just being told exactly what to do, but like we're getting buy-in because we're asking them to bring their voice to the table and have the conversations. And sometimes they're hard and sometimes they're scary.
Mhm.
And that's when we do the deep work. I feel like that's when like the team can really gel together, when we can build a culture where the team feels like they're connected and they are a part of something. They're not just
Yes,
going up doing the work, they're actually building something together.
right. And you get buy-in, and then there is a collective vision
Yeah.
for the possibilities.
Mhm. I
And
love that.
and organizations that do that, large organizations that do that thrive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the ripple effect they're putting out into the
Yeah.
world, the impact they're able to create with the people that they brought in.
Hmm.
I love that. So tell me a little bit about your business and like what are some things that you feel like are working for you right now as you're putting yourself out there for contracts and getting, coaching clients and facilitations? Like what are some of the marketing strategies that you feel like are really in alignment for you at this moment?
Um, well, I think what works best for me is connecting with people personally. I don't like to do a lot of, cold
Yes.
calling. I don't think anybody
So
likes that.
outdated.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so finding ways to offer value to organizations, initially to start developing those relationships. I think people, you probably experience this on LinkedIn where you get, bombarded by people that have something they want to offer you.
Only like 50 a day, Carolyn.
Yeah. And, without first developing the relationship.
Yeah.
And I get that, not only in my business, I'm actually a partner in a golf game that's seasonal. So we're in season right now. And, I get emails all the time for that too, that it's apparent that they have not done any research on what this business
Yeah.
is. So for me, it's really about building relationships, and that may take longer. However, I would rather be able to make those connections and offer some value up front and have people have the opportunity to get to know me a little bit. And then how can I be of service to your organization, or how can I be of service to you? Because really all sales is relationship.
Yeah. One of my favorite mentors, Kendrick Shope, said, selling is helping. And I love just that
Mhm.
simplicity. Like you're not selling anything. You're somebody has a problem, you happen to have a solution, and you're just sharing something that might benefit them to help them get through the time that they're going through at the moment. And
Right.
so when we can shift that thought process, it's not like I, the poor car salesmen of the world get like that bad rap, right? Because like as soon as you walk on the lot, like they're hungry, they're after you, they're like pouncing on you like they're a cheetah or a tiger, or that saber-toothed
Yeah.
tiger that's causing all that fear in the back of our head
Yeah.
in those moments. But honestly, just walking up with someone, starting a conversation, building a relationship,
Mhm.
asking about them. And I think the biggest part is like sitting back and listening. We
Mhm.
don't listen as much as we should. And in the sales game, like the more we listen, the easier it is for us to find out what's going on for them and really offer solutions that are going to help them make them
Absolutely.
in a better situation.
Yeah. Finding out about them, and like you said, what are their challenges, and can you be of service? And if I can't be of service, maybe I know someone who can be,
Yeah.
that I can refer them to. I mean, it's not, sorry, I have a cat. Yeah, like,
Can't
it's
even
not
hear.
about so much of sales, I think in the mindset is, oh, I got to make the sale. I got to make the sale. I got to, and it becomes a me game.
Yeah.
That's not what true sales is. And is that the kind of relationship you want to have with your client? You want to
Yeah.
have a partnership
Yeah.
with your client. And that's
Looks
what
like,
I want. I want to have a partnership, not
yeah,
a one and done.
yeah, we're building long time friendships. Every
Mhm.
single one of my clients remains friends afterwards
Right.
as I want to build a relationship like that. I want to be able to, no matter which directions we go and how long we were together, like if I want to stay connected and, be a part of, their Christmas cards or uh,
Exactly.
get together. If they're in town, that they come and say hello and like we get a chance to spend time together. Like that's so important to me. I'm curious as we start to wrap things up before we go into rapid fire questions. I would love to
Mhm.
hear a little bit about like what's next for you. I know we're wrapping up 2025, we're moving into 2026 soon. Like what's some things that are on the horizon for you and the work that you're going to be doing?
So I'm in the process of revising my book. So that's been out for 10 years. I think it's time I
Getting a
revise it and
facelift?
yeah, give it a facelift. And so that's an active process right now. 2026, I'm looking to do um, more work in the corporate world, as we're facing so much disruption right now. Um, I want to be of service. I know that there are companies out there, businesses out there that are really struggling, and they're overwhelmed. They're not sure what's coming next. You know, they don't know what the impact of some of these changes that we're seeing are going to have on their business. And I just really want to help them with um, improving their headspace, and feeling not so out of control, and not feeling like, oh, we're heading to doomsday.
Yeah.
Um, because whatever happens, whatever's down the pike, this too shall pass. And the more prepared that we can be, the more that we can strengthen our inner game and our mindset and our resilience, the better we're going to be able to face whatever is coming down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. All right, let's go into some fun rapid fire
Sure.
questions. As I always say, this is for me because I want to know if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
I would go to Costa Rica. I've never been, and I understand it's absolutely beautiful. So I would definitely take a trip there.
Yeah, it's definitely on my bucket list as well. I love it.
Mhm.
And when you think about values, what would you say is your top value?
Integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I yeah, integrity.
And if you could or when you, I should say, when you need to, because we all have those days where life feels a little bit too much or exhausting, or we maybe we've taken on too much. Where do you like to go to reflect, reset, and recharge?
So I like to get outside and take a walk. That just really helps me reset. Um, Getting out in nature, looking at the beauty of nature,
Yeah.
it just recenters me and helps me remember like how huge and magnificent the universe is and the earth is, and that whatever's going on is just a tiny little, you know, challenge or, to
Yeah.
keep things in perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that because that's one of my favorite things to do too. Like just even sometimes standing outside in grass, excuse me,
Mhm.
like just barefoot in the grass, like connected to something so much bigger.
Mhm.
It gives you that reality check we need sometimes in that moment, or at least for me.
Mhm. Yeah, it
This
allows you to
problem is very
ground.
small
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of life. I
Yeah.
love that. And then, are you binge watching anything on TV right now? Are you reading a book? Like, what's on your nightstand? Like, how do you like to spend like your wrap up of your evenings?
Right. So I'm not binge watching anything. When softball's in season, we're pretty much working
Yeah.
7 days a week. So it's a busy time of year for us right now. Um, but I do have some books. One of the books I'm reading right now is A Changed Mind by David Baer, which is really good. I read a lot of personal development. Um, I love fiction. However, if I start reading a fiction book, I get so into it, I don't go to sleep. So I have to reserve fiction for when I'm on vacation and give myself that freedom to read the book. But those mostly it's just reading, personal development books, and I do take time to kind of decompress at the end of the day because my days tend to be pretty long. And I really protect my sleep.
Mhm.
So that's something that I learned years ago when I sold Ambien, that your sleep is so important. So, like when I know it's time to go to bed,
Yeah.
I go to bed.
Yeah. I'm that has been a harder lesson for me to learn, but I feel like I've really gotten my sleep back under control. I'd say the past like 5 years, I really started to value like going to bed early and getting a full night's sleep, where before I
Mhm.
would stay up late and do it, like even what you were to share, like I'd be reading a fiction book and I'd be so deep into it that I'm like, just one more chapter, one more page. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. And then the kids are
Right.
getting up for school. And like, I know how like my body in this season needs rest and needs
Mhm.
sleep. And so I love that that's a top value for you too.
Mhm. Yeah, it absolutely is. I'm like, I'm done, hit the wall.
It's a non-negotiable for like everyone.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple nights here and there, right, where we stay up late and
Yeah.
I feel it the next day and it's like it's different than it used to be and when I was in my 20s.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. I just have become very protective
Yeah.
of myself. And I actually love to sleep too. So it's,
It's a good hobby, right?
yeah, yeah. Like at the end of the day, curling up in bed and just,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's got great benefits. And my last question for you, a
Mhm.
theme with the podcast, attract and stand out. What does it mean to attract and stand out to you?
To me, it means having the courage to be yourself and be authentic, and understanding that your uniqueness is what makes you valuable.
Yeah.
And so standing out, you may not resonate with everybody, but you're going to resonate with the right people.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
so really having that courage to be yourself.
Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Carolyn, for being on the show with me today. I so appreciated you sharing your story with us. I know people are going to want to connect with you. Where do we send them?
Sure, absolutely. They can, so my website is freeyourfear.com. They can find me on LinkedIn at Carolyn Bennett-Sullivan. And they can also connect with me directly at carolynbsullivan.com.
Perfect. And I know people are probably wondering, because I am, can you give us like a 30-second this other business you have with the golf? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like a real
Oh,
quick little
sure.
bit, because I'm
Sure.
curious like what that looks like for you.
So it is, I did not invent it. My significant other and his parents invented it. It's a full swing golf game with oversized equipment. So it's like 4.5 inch foam balls, three larger face clubs. The holes are 12 inches around. And then at night, the grounds stay dark and it lights up and glows in the dark. So it's user friendly, fun golf.
I love that. It makes me think of the kids and I went miniature golfing recently, and it was like a glow in the dark type
Mhm.
themed, but everything's oversized, so that's super unique and something.
Yeah, so it's the glow in the dark, but it's full swing, 9 holes, full swing. Yeah, but everything's oversized, making it much easier to hit that ball and get it in the hole
Love
than your
it.
tiny little golf balls.
Yeah. Well, Carolyn, thank you so much for telling us a little bit. I was like, I want to know a little bit more about that before we wrap up.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, that's a wrap for another episode of the Attract and Stand Out podcast. Don't forget, new episodes drop twice a month. So make sure if you're new here that you hit follow and subscribe. And if you want to stay in the loop and never miss an update, head over to darlenehawley.com/standout and join my newsletter. And remember, as always, I believe in you. You're allowed to stand out. You're allowed to shine. You're allowed to be you. We'll see you next time, everyone. Cheers.